Welcome to a very wet Hungaroring for the 13th race this year within the Formula Renault Euro Cup. Cars making their way round to the grid, but the heavens have opened in the last hour or so. David Addison trackside, bedraggled marshals, teams, camera crews, grid girls, everybody else out there getting ready for what I fear is going to be a safety car start. And on the formation lap, we're losing people. Hugo de Wilde off in the gravel, and he's not the only one either, because also we have lost off the road Brad Benavides in car number 61. So even driving to the grid, the weather conditions are so vile that people can't keep it on the road, and they're on a wet tyre, obviously. So it's a real problem for the drivers. A few moments ago, we were pondering whether it was going to be a safety car start. At the moment, if people are falling off even at a slow pace going round to the grid, is it going to start at all? Well, we'll keep you posted, and the race director will have a long look at this and try and ascertain how safe it is. But right now, people have gone through the pit lane, and another one has gone off, including the championship leader, Oscar Piastri, number 1. So Oscar Piastri in the gravel bed. So Piastri, championship leader, multiple winner this year off the road. Hugo de Wilde off the road. Brad Benavides off the road. It's all happening seemingly at the same part of the circuit, but if you can get 2 into that gravel trap, you can get more. And this is not race pace. This is nothing like race pace. So this is the real concern now. What do? Do we delay the start? Do we get them out of the gravel? Does the start happen? If and when it does, it's going to have to be behind the safety car. But at turn 10, there is this drama. And the key to it all now, the main talking point, is that the championship leader, Oscar Piastri, is in that mix, in that gravel bed. Now, Piastri was only 5th on the grid. Had a great time last week at the Nürburgring, where he took 2 more race wins to go with the 2 that he took at Silverstone and 1 at Spa. But right now, he is hoping that there is a delayed start or even an aborted start so that he can get out of that gravel onto the grid. Hugo de Wilde is sitting tight as well, and the race director will, as I say, make a call shortly as to exactly what to do next. But at turn 10, there is drama. So the grid formed with Victor Martins on pole position, Alexander Smolyar 2nd on the grid, 3rd on the grid, Lorenzo Colombo from Caio Collet, Amaury Cordeel 5th, and Oscar Piastri 6th on the grid, but now sitting in the gravel bed, the championship leader. So hoping that as the marshals are there on the scene, they can snatch him out of the way. He's out of the car, which does not bode well. So Oscar Piastri then, the championship leader, looking as though this is not, therefore, going to be the start of the race. He walks away. Hugo de Wilde, significantly, sitting in the car as though he is hopeful that he might be able to get back onto the circuit. But Oscar Piastri's chances at the moment are not looking awfully bright at all. Right, let's go to the grid and hear from Tariq Al-Said, Renault sporting manager, as we have a delayed start, incidentally. He is with Nicky Shields.
Well, Tariq Al-Said, I would normally say it's wonderful to see you here at the front of the grid, but I'm not sure it is. These are rather treacherous conditions. What's going to happen in the race?
Yeah, it's quite a big change from yesterday when it had a sunny day. Yeah, this is going to be a bit hectic considering the rain here. Probably safety car first, and then we'll see how it goes. But we already have 2 cars that ran off the track during the installation laps, so safety first. So we'll see what's going to happen.
I mean, seriously tricky conditions, especially for these young drivers, you know, still learning to drive in these conditions, but a good test for them, I suppose.
Yeah, it's always good to have races, you know, in wet condition. You can really see which driver is really good at it. We had a race already in Monza in the wet condition, and here it's a bit different from Monza. A lot of spray in Monza. We'll see here how it goes, but it's always impressive races anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks very much. Enjoy the race.
Let's have a little look at how they line up, and indeed how they're going to be at the end of the first corner or so, first lap it should be. Victor Martin starts on pole, Alexander Smolyar 2nd on the grid. Lining up 3rd is Lorenzo Colombo. There he is in the orange car for MP Motorsport. And 4th on the grid, Caio Collet for R-Ace GP. The front row, incidentally, MP and R-Ace as well. So row 2 mirrors the front of the grid. The 3rd row, Amaury Cordeel for MP Motorsport. And then a gap where the R-Ace GP car of Oscar Piastri is not to be found. So for the first 3 rows, mirroring MP on one side, R-Ace on the other. The 4th row is a bit depleted as well. Hugo de Wilde for JD Motorsport should be where that big gap is. Frank Bird for Arden, best qualifier for Arden in the session this morning, is there 8th. 9th on the grid is 31 Patrick Pasma. 10th on the grid is Alex Quinn, who made his debut in the championship last weekend at the Nürburgring. And those are the 3 Arden cars altogether. Xavier Lloveras there, he is about to have his first race at the Hungaroring. He will line up 11th, and then 12th on the grid in the white livery, Leonardo Lorandi. 13th. There is João Vieira, who has come back into racing this season. The next gap is that was initially occupied by Brad Benavides. Then we have Lucas Alejo Roy, who came into the series for M2 competition at Spa, and he's dropped in and out as the year has gone on since. And Federico Malvestiti, the Monza-born Italian, will line up 16th on the grid. 17th for the FA Racing by DriveX team. There in the blue livery, you can see Alex Karkosik, who we saw for the first time in the championship at the Nürburgring a week ago. He's got Kushmaini, who is 6th in the championship, lining up with him. Kushmaini having had a poor qualifying, so he's got work to do if and when we go racing here. And then the back row, Petr Potacek, who qualified well at the Nürburgring, had a shocking morning, and Patrick Schott, who lost his best lap times because of causing a red flag by going off the road. In the dry, in qualifying, he is at the very back of the grid. But as I say, the real significance now, Oscar Piastri not on the grid, championship leader. Victor Martins, championship rival, starting on pole. Race on, 30 minutes begins, regulation lap at the end. And so now, as the cars set off, we will see exactly how bad these conditions are and whether or not anybody else skates off the road, because now you've got them all bunched up together. Alexander Smolya there trying to partly get some warmth into the tyres, partly get out of the spray as well, then you can see where he's going. Down towards turn 1, then they come through that right-hander, drop downhill. So Victor Martins is the race leader, and Alexander Smolya is the man behind him. He's another driver in his second season in Formula Renault Euro Cup, although, make the point again, these are brand new cars for this year, so everybody coming into them with experience maybe of the circuits, yes, but not of the car. And Alexander Smolya was 12th in the championship last year. Didn't take any wins, but he was a winner at Monza in race 2. He was a winner at Monaco in race 2. Very unlucky at Spa. Brilliant drive up through the field only, late race to get tagged by a spinning Malvestiti and roll. Alexander Smolya lucky to get away with that, but it's a great shame because he was heading for a podium finish at the time. And on the countback, of course, he lost that. So down the hill comes the safety car into turn 2 here. There's turn 1 and turn 1A these days because the exit at the first corner has a little kink, little right-hand kink, rather than being a constant radius arc. So turn 2 down the hill. Hungaroring, of course, that's been a Grand Prix venue since, what, 1986. It's had World Touring Cars, it's had the European Touring Car Series, FIA GT has been here in the past, as well as the iteration of Blancpain GT, and we are getting a red flag. Red flag is being shown, so things are not improving, and the race is being stopped. Not going to resume. The confirmation has come on the screen. The race will not resume, so 4 laps behind the safety car. We are being told there will be half points awarded, but a podium will come if anyone wants to go and stand in the rain for 10 minutes. Victor Martins then, with the result at 3 laps, is the winner from Alexander Smolya, Lorenzo Colombo 3rd, from Caio Collet, Amaury Cordeel 5th, and Frank Bird's best of the year 6th. Patrick Pasma 7th, ahead of Alex Quinn, Xavier Lloveras 9th from Leonardo Lorandi, and then João Vieira 11th, Lucas Alejo Roy 12th, Federico Malvestiti 13th from Alex Karkosik and Kushmaini. So let's hear the thoughts then of Victor Martins. He didn't have to do a great deal other than just use his webbed feet. He wins. He's with Nicky Shields.
Well, Victor, obviously this isn't the traditional way of winning a race. Different circumstances, but some valuable points scored still today.
Yeah, obviously, it's a shame to not race, but yeah, it's actually too dangerous, and the aquaplaning was massive, so yeah, I think it's a good choice to do this. But yeah, I don't know how it will be for the points. I don't know if it will be half points or...
Half points, yes.
I don't know,
You'll
yeah.
get half points.
So, yeah, I would have preferred to race, actually, but...
Half points, and you didn't have to do any work for it.
Yeah,
well, you qualified on pole, I suppose.
Yeah. No, hopefully tomorrow will be dry or better like this. And yeah, just to have a clear race tomorrow.
Absolutely. Thanks very much. Well done.
The drivers then now ready to receive trophies. Victor Martins, Alexander Smolya, Lorenzo Colombo and Caio Collet all there, as Lorenzo Colombo gets the 3rd placed trophy from Tamas Vachtler, general manager of Renault in Hungary. Then for 2nd place, Alexander Smolya gets the trophy from Tariq Ayn Said, the sporting manager of Renault Sport Racing, who looks after all the Renault activities, race and rally, of course. There's a successful one-make rally programme still as well. Victor Martins scores honours in race 1 of the weekend here, double header as ever, so 1 today, 1 tomorrow. Race 2 of the weekend for Formula Renault Euro Cup is here on track at the Hungaroring, and we are hoping, indeed we are virtually guaranteed, a far better race than yesterday, when sadly, because of the weather conditions, we had 4 laps all behind the safety car. The race never got underway properly, but today in the dry we are good to go. There is the championship leader, Oscar Piastri, who didn't get into the race yesterday, would you believe. He was one of the drivers that fell off on the installation lap round onto the grid. So Oscar Piastri gave away points to Victor Martins. They went to the Nürburgring as the joint championship leaders. Victor Martins didn't take part in race 2. He had a mechanical problem, missed the race. So the gap really grew. It came down a little yesterday. But part of that, of course, was affected by it was only half points. So 12.5 for a win, not 25, to enable the gap to come down markedly in the championship. Martins closing on Piastri. So let's hear from Alexander Smollier. He's on the grid with Nicky Shields.
Alexander Smollier, can see you concentrating there, gathering your thoughts. What do you focus on? What's going through your mind just before the start of a race?
Well, I'm quite happy this time because the weather is good, and I hope this time we can fight for the full points. So, but still, I'm hoping to bring the car home, bring some points, really important for the championship, and we will see what will happen in the end of the straight.
Being able to look down at that first turn, having a clear run ahead of you, is a very nice position to be in. But are you worried about getting caught up with the congestion that's going to be taking place behind?
Well, the most important thing is the start, so really a lot of things depend on it. Of course, I'm taking care of the guys behind. There are still contenders in the championship, so looking in front and behind as well.
Excellent, brilliant. Alexander, thanks very much. Good luck for the race, and thanks for speaking to us just before the race.
Alexander Smollier, double winner this year, one of the quicker drivers. Let's have a walk up the grid. Everybody in the same base car, run by different teams, and an all R8 GP front of the grid. Oscar Piastri in number 1, alongside number 3, teammate Alexander Smollier. On the second row of the grid is Victor Martins for MP Motorsport, and then they should be for Arden, Alex Quinn, but that car is missing from the grid. Why is that? Alex Quinn ain't there after a great qualifying effort. Question mark over that. Amaury Cordial is 5th. 6th on the grid is Kushmaini. Then on the 4th row, there will be Leonardo Lorandi, number 25, on the outside. And then Kai Collett starting 8th on the grid. 9th is Frank Bird for Arden. He is there. Lorenzo Colombo lining up 10th on the grid. He's a man to watch because he's had 3 wins this year. 11th is where you find Lucas Aleko-Roy, and alongside him is Patrick Pasma. He's another of the Arden drivers. Then Federico Malvestiti and Brad Benavides. Brad, who was another driver that missed yesterday's race by slithering off on his way around to the grid, but he's hoping for better fortune today, that's for sure. Having been a regular in the championship this season, he drives for the FA Racing by DriveX team, and there is the Spanish team's entry of Brad Benavides. Federico Malvestiti, Monza-born driver, shone at Spa, has struggled to regain that pace. Petr Potacek is next on the grid with Alex Karkasik for company. Then you've got the green car, Xavier Lloveras, and Monza winner Hugo de Wilde, 7th in the championship with him. On the back row is Javiera and Patrick Schott. The car's now being released, but as I say, Alex Quinn missing from the grid. And I can't, from where we are based, see the end of the pit lane to see whether or not the car is at the end of the pit lane ready to go. If they miss the pit lane opening time, then the car would be forced to start from the pits. Let's see as we pan into the first corner whether there's any indication of a car in the pit lane ready to go, but it does not. Yes, there is Quinn. So he's going to start seemingly from the pit lane. Is it a problem, or did the team just not get him out in time? There is Alex Quinn then from the pits. He will have to start. Is there still work going on? It looks as though there might be. So some drama has got a problem, and there is Alex Quinn. The team still busy working on the car. Hard to gauge what the problem may have been, but he will start from the pit lane. Of course, everybody else will go into turn 1 before he is released, but Alex Quinn at least will get in, albeit at the very rear of the pack. So 4th he qualified, and now last he will start. The work will begin, and it's going to be tough to make progress up through the field from there. So cars now work their way up through the chicane. then they will reform on the grid, and we will be good to go, ready for this second race of the weekend. You could argue the only proper race of the weekend. After this, the teams go to Barcelona and to Hockenheim and Yas Marina as well before the end of the season. It all very, very wide there. Brad Benavides, it all goes down to the wire in Abu Dhabi. But here in the Hungaroring sunshine, number 2, Kyle Collett, working his way now up through the final left-hander. Turn 13 takes you to the last corner on the lap, and then they will slot into place. Now, these are long races as well for the teams. The race is 30 minutes plus a lap tagged on at the end, the so-called regulation lap. So the drivers get quite a lot of track time. And as they come into place, then the pole position car of Oscar Piastri will, having warmed up the Hankook rubber, form on the grid. The idea, of course, is to try and bunch everybody up behind you. Then you're not sitting there for too long, letting all the tyre temperature and the pressure ebb away. Smolyar slots into place for second, then for third on the grid, Victor Martins. A gap where no Alex Quinn on the grid, fourth. He'll start from the pits. And at the very back, we await Patrick Schott in the M2 competition entry. Once that is there, we'll get a green flag shown that everybody is ready for the start. We go to Wilder, moves across into his grid box, and as soon as João Vieira, who's 8th in the championship but on the back row, and Patrick Schott are there, we'll get the indication that we can finally go racing then. So, race 2, Formula Renault Euro Cup from the Hungaroring. We are ready to go racing. Lights are red, lights go out. Who makes the best start? Good getaway by Piastri, who moves across, covers off Smolyar. Victor Martins tries to get into the slipstream of the Russian driver to see whether he can move up on the inside line, but he can't as they head down towards turn 1. Good getaway by Kyle Collett, looking the second of the yellow perils on the inside line. Leonardo Lorandi tries to cut up the middle, and there's contact straight away. Big, big drama. Loads of people going off the road. Big problems for Arden. I think 2 cars from the Arden squad are gone already. Also off the road is Amaury Cordeil. Smolyar is attacking Piastri for the race lead as they head downhill for the first time. Oscar Piastri is going to come out in front. The order will have shuffled markedly behind him, and it may well be that we have a safety car even, with cars stranded on the outside of turn 1. So Piastri leading, Smolyar is second, Martins is third as they head up the hill for the first time. And who have we lost? Well, in that, Cordeil has been delayed, Frank Bird, Patrick Pasma. So yeah, I'm afraid the Arden team has lost 2 cars at the first corner. Another one is starting in the pits if it gets going at all. Piastri leads the pack then as they flick out of the chicane. We also have lost Brad Benavides. He has been caught up in it, and the yellow flags are showing the safety car is being deployed. Safety car will be on track. And having said Alex Quinn will start from the pits, not yet he won't. This does give him a chance at least to catch up the field, but there, trudging away, is Frank Bird. His car very badly broken, and his race, his weekend, comes to an early end. Patrick Pasma has got going again, even though he was delayed, and so too Brad Benavides, but it was all triggered, I think, by Lorandi, wasn't it, going for a gap in the middle. Let's try and piece it all together once more. Lorandi started 7th on the grid. His is the white car that you're going to see in a moment, number 25. It's on the outside of the road now, look, with the blue front wing end plate. He dives up the inside, that gap suddenly disappears, and bang. Frank Bird gets turned around and collected. No, sorry, not Frank Bird gets turned around. Amaury Cordeil gets turned around and collected by Frank Bird. Pasma spins as well, and look, others going off in avoidance. So Frank Bird was the one that went around the outside and collected Cordeil. So Cordeil hit, around he went, and Frank Bird, the driver that ended up hitting the spinning car, and that's his car broken. His car is out. Safety car will peel in, as I say. 19 laps was the projection, but with the safety car coming out, you can anticipate it might just now drop to 18. But the race director, Tamas Stettner, formerly the FIA Formula 3 race director, will be ready to release the cars. They turn now up through turn 13. There at the back of the pack, Patrick Pasma, who's had a pretty torrid time. He came close to a win at the Nürburgring a week ago, but lost out there to Oscar Piastri, who comes then now out of turn 14. The lights are back on green, the race is back underway, and a really good restart by Piastri because he's already clear as the cars accelerate down towards turn 1. Smolyar under attack from the winner yesterday, Victor Martins, as they go into the braking zone. Fourth is Kushmaini, Kaya Collett to the outside line. And there, as they dive down, also 72, Xavier Lloveras, alongside number 66 of Alex Karkasik, the former Euro Formula Open racer. Out wide goes Lloveras, and downhill, Piastri now trying to build this gap as they run side by side. Collett and Maini out of turn 2. Kaya Collett's got the inside for 3, and he's got the place as well. Through he goes. So Kaya Collett goes through, gains the position as they sprint up the hill now, but Oscar Piastri getting away. A very, very talented Australian driver who runs under a British licence, so every time he wins, we have the British national anthem to be played, much to his horror, and he accelerates down towards the chicane, clear in the lead of the race at the moment. Brave decision. It's happened, of course, before. Take the likes of Mark Webber as an example of Australian drivers giving up a career in perhaps better funded touring car racing down under to ply their trade on the other side of the world in European single-seater racing. Hard to get sponsorship, hard to stay on the radar, because Australian companies on a single-seater racing car on the other side of the world don't get a huge kickback, but yet Oscar Piastri has taken this decision to come and race initially in British F4, then Formula Renault Euro Cup, his second year in the category, and doing a great job. Daniel Ricciardo, of course, was another driver that came from Australia and through Formula Renault Euro Cup. Him and Valtteri Bottas had great battles together in the Formula Renault Euro Cup about a decade ago. There, Kaya Collett goes through them, one of the two, with the other being Victor Martins, drivers of the Renault Sport Academy on this grid. But Oscar Piastri then it is that leads the way, with Smoljar now coming under attack from Martins. That gap 0.4 of a second as they go by. Collett fourth, Maini fifth, then we've had that change in sixth place. He's Lorenzo Colombo. Petr Potacek comes next. Now he's made very, very good progress up, Petr Potacek, because he was on the anti-penultimate row. He was, what, 15th on that grid. So 15th he started, and now 7th he runs. A lock-up from Maini there as they come down through turn 3. But Kushmaini, whose elder brother Arjun Maini, we've seen in GP3 Formula 2. Kushmaini, runner-up in the British F3 series last year, flicks now up the hill and out of turn 4 with Lorenzo Colombo right up behind him. Colombo, somebody else that's been rapid this year, a race winner in both of the Paul Ricard races and one of the 2 stanzas at Spa as well. Piastri out of the chicane, battle on for second, Smoljar versus Martins, but of course we know it's hard to overtake round here, and that means that you've got to try and apply the pressure, force a mistake out of the driver ahead. Down now through this turn 8, 9, 10, 11 sequence. Often you find a little bit of understeer, according to some of the drivers, and they're down to the very slow turn 12. Hard braking, run up onto the curb on the outside, power the car towards turn 13. Limited overtaking opportunities around this point, but if anybody makes a mistake, then you've got a chance to try to find a way through. But if you get a good run out of this corner, the move at turn 1 really starts. So if it's a good exit from Victor Martins to get himself right into the mix against Smoljar, he might be able to challenge on the way down to the first corner. Let us see. Over the timing line they go here. The gap between second and third, 0.432 of a second, but Piastri's already over a second to the good. He is building that gap up front. Downhill goes Piastri, the race leader. Smoljar hanging on to his second spot. Kushmaini keeping Colombo at bay. Then 7th is Potacek, and for 8th and 9th there, João Vieira gets up ahead of Lucas Aleco Roy. Now, João Vieira, remember, was 19th on the grid and is now up into 8th place. Brilliant drive, this. So he's gained yet more ground, admittedly helped by the dramas at the first corner, but even so, storming up the order. Alex Quinn, incidentally, is not in the race. He has not left the pit lane, so Alex Quinn qualified 4th, but does not get into the race. Whatever that technical problem was has kept him in the pit lane, as there is the challenge on the inside heading up towards the chicane. Ugo de Wilde at the back of the pack there on the tail of 66 of Alex Karkasik. Ugo de Wilde 13th, but therefore outside the points. It's been a really frustrating time since he had that great, almost fairy tale start to the season, winning the opening race at Monza, crashed out of the second, and it's been tough from then on. Ugo de Wilde, with his confidence, I think, unravelling as the year has gone on, because he came into the series highly rated. The young Belgian driver, runner-up last year to Kaya Collett in French F4. So 1/3 of the race done. as we look there at 46, that being the Patrick Schott car. Now, Patrick was last on the grid, remember. He was 20th and he was in the top 10 at the end of lap 1. So, helped by the incidents, again, people are being able to make progress as Oscar Piastri, the pole man, goes over the timing line with Smoljar running in second place now, 2.5 behind him. Through in third is Martins, Collett fourth, Maini fifth, Colombo is sixth, and that means that Kyle Collett is the leader of the rookies class. As to the inside line looks Xavier Lloveras, but Patrick Schott fends him off then. Downhill they turn through the left of 3, and a little error possibly made by Patrick Schott. The car just squirms underneath him, but he and Lloveras battling together as there goes number 2 Kyle Collett out of turn 4. Collett dropping away from Martins, keeping Maini behind him, hanging on therefore to the lead in the rookie contest. Patrick Pasma in the meantime trying to uphold honours for Arden, running in 14th place. Lucas Adeko-Roy comes out of the chicane. Pasma at the back of that group. There is Piastri, the leader, well clear now of Alexander Smoljar. So downhill goes 11, that being the hard-charging Victor Martins, but charge as he might, Smoljar still has this advantage. Out of turn 14 comes Victor Martins. He makes the sprint now up towards the timing line once again. Blasts past the pits, and number 1 Oscar Piastri stays in the lead of the race. That margin 1.5 seconds now over Smoljar. Martins third, and Victor again needs, but it's unlikely to happen, to be ahead of the Australian in order to outscore him in the championship to bring down the gap. It came down yesterday, but now it is set to go up once more. The point situation coming into the race, 197 for Piastri, 169.5 for Victor Martins, and he's only 7.5 ahead of Smoljar, and of course he's now behind him in the race as well. He will stay ahead in the championship, but only just. There is the battle for second place, both in race and championship points, Smoljar and Martins together. Now to turn 14, short straight down the chicane, turn right, turn left, flick through. So number 2, Kyle Collett, and the incident involving so many people at the first corner is going to be looked at after the race, so the stewards are on a late flight, clearly. There is number 11, Victor Martins. Down the hill he heads, so Victor, who raced in the Formula 3 Asian Winter Series to keep his hand in the winter months, 5th in Formula Renault Euro Cup last year, hustles on behind there, number 3, Alexander Smoljar. And I just wonder whether, as Martins has got a bit stuck, this might not be enabling Kyle Collett to get a little bit nearer to him. He's there in 4th place, but doing his best to close up now. Over the timing line, Piastri to Smoljar, new fastest lap Piastri, gap 1.7 seconds. So the margin continues to extend, and of course Smoljar is equally concerned of making sure that he hangs on to that second place and knows exactly what the gap is over the opposition being Victor Martins, who is not that far behind him. So as they turn now down through turn 2 approach, the race leader remaining Oscar Piastri, and there a challenge as Xavier Lloveras gets up on the inside of Patrick Schott. They touch, Schott goes sideways, more contact, suspension broken for Xavier Lloveras, off he goes. Patrick Schott is off the road as well. That was the fight for 10th. We've got 2 more cars stranded trackside. Is that going to be another interruption as we almost get to the halfway point? Patrick Schott is going to try to rejoin, but there Lloveras made the dive up the inside. They touched, Schott got sideways, turned across, then as he came back, banged, that broke the suspension on Xavier Lloveras' car. He tries to turn, but the car sits down on one corner, around he goes, that's going nowhere. Patrick Schott will try to get going again. We've got a yellow flag in the first sector, and the safety car boards are being prepared again. Safety car is on track for the 2nd time in this race. In safety car driver had a lights of flag win almost yesterday, and he's being on duty again now. So a second safety car period. Out it comes, and Oscar Piastri's advantage that he'd been working hard to build up disappears then. He was on pole position by 0.487 of a second. He's always looked as though he's been the quicker driver this weekend, but right now, safety car is on the circuit, and the teams will see on the data a shuffle to the race order outside that top 10. So Piastri it is that is the leader, with Smolyar much nearer to him now as they come over the line. Third, Victor Martins catching up to Smolyar, of course, in this circumstance. So into the top 10 comes Alex Kakasik. Into 11th, he'll go to Wilder. 12th is Pasma. Up to 13th is the recovering Leonardo Lorandi. And then it would be Malvestiti and Benavides that gain as well. There is Lorandi, who was in the middle of all of the drama at the very start of the race. And then the cars come down through turn 2. There, the marshals hard at work against Xavier Lloveras' car, trying to get that out of harm's way. And as soon as possible, it will be clear and we'll get the race back underway. That's also going to be looked at after the race. The stewards will have a look to see if anybody takes responsibility or whether it was just a racing incident. Oscar Piastri thinking, well, could have done without this, my gap's gone. This is the replay of why we have the drama. Braking suspension for Xavier Lloveras out of the race. Lights out, so that's the signal for Oscar Piastri. Get ready, safety car will peel in. And so at the end of this lap, we'll be good to go racing once more. Oscar Piastri started on pole, leads the race, and already has done the fastest lap. Smolyar second, Martins third, Collett fourth as they come now down through turn 12. Those boards will be withdrawn as the field goes past. The green flag is going to be made ready, and as the cars then turn through the left at 13, Oscar Piastri will start to pick up the pace. Now accelerates up the hill, tries to get the drop on the opposition. Has he done so? Yes, he has, pretty much by 2 lengths. So with just 10 minutes on the clock plus a lap, we go racing once more in Budapest. Oscar Piastri leads the pack over the timing line, through he goes, and now down towards the first corner, down towards the turn 1 right-hand loop. Smolyar second. Is Martins near enough to have a go? He thinks about it, but so does Smolyar, and he knows exactly what's coming, so he defends well. Through the right-hander they go. Drop downhill now. Through the left-hander of turn 2. This is where we have the incident that brought that second safety car period. Number 43 drops through, that being Lucas Aleko-Roy, another graduate of the ADAC F4 Championship, and he's up into 9th place now with the FA racing car of Alex Kakasik behind him. Piastri goes by. The race leader then building this gap over Smolyar once again. He's done it before, no reason to suggest he won't be able to do it a second time. Now what about Martins versus Collett for Renault Sport Academy honours here? Different teams, but there's pride at stake, if nothing else. Collett leads the rookie contest from Kushmini, and then Petr Potacek, who's also made really good progress in this race. If they come down through the sequence of 8, 9, 10, 11, it's constant flow really of corners, so it's hard to overtake through that if you're on the line. So Piastri hangs on to the lead, tries to break clear now. Oscar Piastri, 5 times a race winner this season, looking to build on that tally, and it looks as though he's going to do so here, and therefore build that championship lead yet further. Down through the turn 14 approach they come, and now look, Martins perhaps near enough to think about a toe. It's a long straight. If you're going to get past anywhere, it starts here on the run down towards turn 1. Victor Martins tries to stay in the slipstream. Smolyar tries to break the toe. Is Martins near enough? Not really. So down to the braking area they come, and no opportunity to find a way by there either. Frustration for Victor Martins then as he comes down towards turn 2. They're on the power, they make the acceleration run now up through the turn 4 approach, climb the hill, flick through that very, very fast left, one of the quickest corners on the circuit. There's lots of runoff, but if you use too much of it, you start to abuse the track limits, and the race director becomes a bit grumpy. Out of turn 5, Kushmini under attack now from Lorenzo Colombo. Minor rookie Colombo, very definitely not, because he drove in the championship last season. The MP Motorsport driver was sixth, didn't win, but he was on the podium 5 times last season. And as the cars now come by, there you've got 11, which is Victor Martins in third, but he just cannot make progress. So frustrated he is, so frustrating for a driver, that there's just no real way by here. Down the hill, heading into turn 12. Oscar Piastri, though, unlike yesterday, absolutely wheel perfect. It was over at turn 10 yesterday that he slithered off on his way around to the grid. That was the race done. Race such as it was, the result at 3 laps, all of which have been behind the safety car. And Alex Quinn has got into the race very, very late, but he has now got in. He is, what, 5 laps behind, but just treating it, I think, as a test session now, but he is in the race. And he's actually, of course, gained places courtesy of others retiring, as it were. But he is finally on track with something to show for his weekend as Lucas Aleko-Roy goes through. There you've got Alex Karkazic coming out and make a move. Ugo de Wilder 11th is behind him, then it's Larandi and Pasma, and another rather brave effort is made on the inside there by 51 Federico Malvestiti to get ahead of Patrick Schott. And Malvestiti just stays ahead on the run down the hill. He's got the inside line. Patrick Schott thinks, oh, here we go again. He's had one bit of contact here. He'll try and avoid it this time, but he definitely does. Drops back in behind the Monza-born Malvestiti. Down the hill through turn 3 they go now. Wide up the curve goes Patrick Schott. As the race leaders wriggle their way out of the turn 10-11 sequence, Victor Martins, he's upping his pace because he's done the absolute best in the first sector. Some of that, I suspect, was the toe he got on the pit straight, which was, of course, within the first sector of the lap. So as he follows Smolyar, he's in the dirty air. That has the negative effect on his own car, his own aero. Down they come into the braking zone, turn through the right-hander at 12. But there is Piastri with 5 more minutes on the clock plus a lap. Martins, absolute best, followed by a personal best, so he is certainly mounting an attack here. Couldn't do it on the restart, but this might be the one chance that he needs. He's close enough to think about firing the gun now, out of turn 14. So down towards turn 1. The gap between second and third down to 4/10. Martins pulls out, but more in hope than in anticipation. But Smolyar just slightly sideways under braking. Hangs onto the slide, gets it through the corner safely. But now Victor Martins hoping to take advantage of another error because he's closer again as they drop down the hill. 4.5 on the clock now. Out of turn 2, the road falls down the hill. So now Oscar Piastri out on his own up front. 1.4 seconds to the good. He is Oscar Piastri, who was a very quick karter, moved to Formula 4, racing in the British Championship, in which he was the runner-up in the UAE Championship, and then also had a couple of races in 2017 in Formula Renault NEC. But it was in the Euro Cup last year that he first came to real prominence with a couple of podiums. 8th he was, but this year he has absolutely been the standout. Martins third on the track, and he's dropping away again from Smolyar, not being able to stay close enough now. Number 1, which is Oscar Piastri, turns into turn 12. 3.5 minutes remain, so it's going to be, what, 2 laps of time plus the regulation lap at the end. Victor Martins, frustrated, cannot do anything about Smolyar, who was doing everything right, driving his own race, picking his lines, getting on with the job, banking points for second, and up towards the timing line they now come. New fastest lap of the race done by Piastri. So Oscar Piastri does a 1 minute 42.168, fastest lap of the race. Fastest racing lap of the weekend, of course. Down through turn 1 he goes then, and there'll be this lap and one more within the time, and then the regulation lap at the end. So 3 to run for Piastri as they come down through the left at turn 2. Smolyar and Martins getting themselves together again, but it still doesn't really look as though Victor Martins can find a way by, short of forcing an error out of Smolyar. And in fairness, despite turn 1's dramas, most people have been pretty sure-footed in this race. 4th, Collett, you can see how far back he has dropped since the restart. So the top three are absolutely scarping away. Right then left, out of the chicane. Rattle over the curve. It shortens the lap, it keeps up the speed and the momentum, but it does put another shock through the car, lap after lap after lap. Now there's the next battle. Kushmaini just ahead of Lorenzo Colombo in the MP Motorsport car. Kushmaini is another of those for the M2 team. And then behind them, not that far adrift for the BITC squad, is Petr Potacek. Way out wide behind him goes João Vieira, up from the last row of the grid. Vieira in 8th spot. He had a podium at Silverstone, he had another one at Monaco, and he's had a really good return to racing, really, has João Vieira, because he's been his comeback season, a year or so away, trying to get the budget together, but back he has come. Kushmaini accelerating up towards the timing line as through goes Piastri then onto his penultimate lap. Smolyar through behind him, and then you've got Victor Martins running in third. Collet, Maini, Colombo, Potacek, Vieira, right. Karkazik the top 10. Colombo closing onto the tail there of Kushmaini as they turn through the right-hander. Lorenzo Colombo crawling all over the back of Kushmaini. Down the hill he drops. There is the race leader in splendid isolation once more. Bolts away, safety car bunches them up, bolts away again. Piastri clear in the lead in this twice interrupted race. So the clock will hit 0 on this lap. There'll be one regulation lap at the end as the leaders sweep now through turn 5. Lorenzo Colombo finding it just as frustrating as others. He's in the dirty air. He knows he's quicker, but he can't unsettle Kushmaini. Piastri, incidentally, another new fastest lap last time. Alex Quinn has retired back into the pit lane. So he got some lappery in, but clearly with a troubled car. And there is Colombo out now from turn 9, turn 10, and then 11 down towards the stadium at the end of the lap. He runs a little wider onto the curb. Turn 12, that slow right-hander, short straight, loop round 13, the climb up the hill, and it's a steep climb. Get this corner wrong, and it compromises the momentum all the way up the hill, and in turn compromises the run onto the pit straight. So onto the last lap of the race goes Oscar Piastri. The clock has hit 0. And he is about to complete lap number 16. So one more lap to run. Over the line, Piastri from Smolyar, and then Victor Martins in third place, as onto the pit straight in the background comes the fight between Roy Karkazik and then Hugo de Wilde next in the queue. Downhill goes Patrick Schott, 15th in his yo-yo race on the back of the grid, made progress. Incident falls back, but still circulating. The trouble is he's out of the points. Smolyar to Martins, gap is extended. And there, Alexander Smolyar set to outscore Victor Martins. So even if Oscar Piastri is building that championship advantage, battle is still on, it seems, for second and third, with Barcelona in, 3 weeks' time. Smolyar through the sweeps at turns 10 and then 11. But Oscar Piastri from pole, seemingly to a win and the fastest lap, certainly making amends for yesterday when that big blot on the copybook of a non-starter was there for all to see. But this has been the perfect drive. The triple whammy of pole, win, fastest lap, 2 corners to go. Turn 13 is ticked off, 1 corner to go. Up the hill he climbs, sets the car up for the right of turn 14, loops through the corner. And so now, Oscar Piastri accelerates up towards win number 6 of the season in Formula Renault Euro Cup. Oscar Piastri wins at the Hungaroring. Second, Alexander Smolyar, and third goes the way of Victor Martins. Kyle Collett is 4th, and he wins the rookie class ahead of Kushmaini, who is 5th, and then 6th overall, Lorenzo Colombo behind him. Potacek 7th, Vieira 8th, Roy 9th, and for 10th, it will be Alex Karkazik just ahead of Hugo de Wilde and Leonardo Lorandi rounding out the top dozen. So there is Hugo de Wilde gaining a place, but on the rundown lap, too little, too late. And de Wilde 11th out of the points, tantalisingly close to points, but out of the points. So the drivers over the timing line with 17 laps done. Oscar Piastri taking the win from Alexander Smolyar and Victor Martins. Kai Collett takes fourth ahead of Kush Meinik, and that's the 1-2 in the rookie class, with Lorenzo Colombo sixth, Petr Potacek seventh ahead of João Vieira, Lucas Eleko-Roy, and the last point scorer being Alex Karkasik. In 11th place, Ugo de Wilde ahead of Leonardo Lorandi, Patrick Pasma 13th from Federico Malvestiti, and Patrick Schott coming home in 15th place. So Patrick Schott having a fairly checkered race with a couple of incidents. Xavier Lloveras not getting to the end, the last finisher being Brad Benavides, Alex Quinn late in and early out, Anne-Marie Cordial a retirement with damage, and Frank Bird likewise a retirement on that opening lap with the contact. But Oscar Piastri then ahead of our ace GP teammate Alexander Smolyar, winner here at the Hungaroring, and it's going to be a very, very happy Australian driver in a moment who will step from the car. Out he gets. Puts the steering wheel back on. He will then go and be weighed because the regulations dictate that the weight of the driver and the car are combined. So you know what the car should be, 690 kilos. And there is a driver to be weighed so the maths can be done. Make sure that everything under the regulations is correct.
Yes.
Our race GP, understandably, a very happy team indeed. And so there, race winner, Oscar Piastri, win number 6 of this extraordinary season. For him, Alexander Smolyar a double winner, Victor Martins a double winner after yesterday's efforts. And as the drivers go to the weigh area. So Nicky Shields has our drivers, third Victor Martins, second Alexander Smolyar, and our race winner, Oscar Piastri.
Well, Oscar, huge congratulations there. 6th win of the season. You managed to, create a bit of a gap at the beginning, but then with that safety car, you had to do it all over again, but well done.
Thank you, yeah. I actually made the grid this time, so that was a good start to the day. And yeah, a pretty average start. And yeah, a bit of a battle with Alex there at the beginning. But yeah, I think the pace was good for everyone at the front. I think it was pretty even. Just dirty air behind me probably worked in my favour there.
Excellent, thanks very much, well done. Let's have a quick word with Alex Sommelier. Alex, how was that race for you?
Well, obviously I tried to pass Oscar on the first 2 laps because I knew that it's going to be really hard to follow the car, especially on a track like this. So basically that's what happened. In the beginning and even on the middle, I was still could keep up behind him, but then the tires were a bit gone, and I started to look behind for the victory.
Yeah, Victor was pushing hard. Were you worried at any point?
Well, in the end, yeah, when I had a misshift, he almost catched me. So I was a bit worried about this, but hopefully everything went smooth.
Alex, we know you've got a lot of Russian fans watching. Do you want to say something to them in Russian?
Да, конечно, большое всем спасибо за поддержку. С каждым уикендом получается все лучше и лучше. Мы набираем обороты, набираем очки, очень важные для чемпионата. Остается всего 3 этапа, поэтому мы не расслабляемся и продолжаем наверстывать.
Excellent, thanks very much. Well done, Alex. And Victor, come on over. Congratulations on the podium, pushing hard there, but just couldn't quite catch Alex.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just push as hard as I could. And yeah, we ended on the podium. It's a good point. We are back. We did a double podium this weekend. But the pace is definitely a lot better than Nürburgring. And yeah, we are back. And I think yeah, we just have to put pressure on Piastri and all our RS guy, and we will end where we want.
Excellent. Thanks very much. See you in Barcelona.
Well done to Oscar Piastri, who is the winner of race 2 of the weekend in Formula Renault Euro Cup here at the Hungaroring, and he stands on the top step of the podium yet again. The trophies being presented. Thomas Wackler of Renault Hungaria gives the trophies to the 3rd place driver Victor Martins, and handshakes to everybody else on the podium. Then The trophy is from Tariq Ait Said, the sporting manager of Renault Sport Racing, to Alexander Smoljar for his second place, and handshakes to the top three and the team and winning rookie as well. And then for Oscar Piastri and for the RHGP team, yet another victory, and the trophy to Oscar, win number 6 of the season. If you take all the R8 victories together, it's an amazing season. Giulio Rizzo of Hankook Motorsport Europe congratulates the winning rookie with the trophy. That is Kyle Collett, and then there'll be the team's trophy as well that Tariq Ali Said can hand over to the R8 GP team, which is dedicated to all of those mechanics and the engineers that worked so hard to prepare the fleet of cars, and a 1-2 finish, not just a race win. Up to the top step comes a slightly downcast looking Kyle Collett. But now the drivers have the champagne at their feet, and the celebrations underway here at the Hungaroring. So well done, Oscar Piastri. Fastest lap, pole, race win. Let's look at the highlights. A great start from Piastri from pole, moved across, chopped across the front of Smoljar, defended the lead down to the first corner, and then Leonardo Lorandi made a late break move. There was a gap in the middle, but it soon disappeared, and Amaury Cordile's car turned around, clobbered by Frank Bird. He was out of the race, others badly delayed. For some, it was a way of gaining places. For others, it was big frustration. Safety car deployed in order to sort out the incident. Some had to pit and try and sort out some damage and rejoin. The race did get back underway with Smoljar chasing on behind Piastri, but it wasn't long before we had another safety car period as Xavier Lloveras and here Patrick Schott got together, and so another interruption. But it mattered not as far as Oscar Piastri was concerned, because even with the 2 interruptions, he was still able to control the pace. A bad downshift from Smoljar got the car sideways, almost enabled Victor Martins to catch, but to no avail. Oscar Piastri wins in Formula Renault Euro Cup for the 6th time this year from David Addison at Budapest. Goodbye.